Hi everyone, Alex is here. Do you remember time when React, Angular and Vue just appeared? It was revolution. Do you remember that moment when you can just reactively write a variable and it will be automatically changed in your component? It was something unbelievable. This virtual DOM, this reactivity, it was a huge jump during that time in front-end engineering. But right now, what has happened? We have big bundles, we have a lot of troubles with tiredness of these frameworks. We have really big problems when we're going to creating large projects with these frameworks. And also, it has really slow downloading, and the problem, time to interaction. It's really what do we have right now. But I'm not here to tell why React, Angular, and Vue is bad, or not, or that we should discover something new. No. Let's talk and let's think about the future of our front end. I think this is the key that we should try to understand where we are going and what will be the next. Because it's quite interesting. So, let's start. Let's talk about firstly about the biggest, I think, hidden problem of our favorite frameworks. So basically, we have hydration. What is that? Basically, hydration, it's when you're writing, for example, app with React. What you typically do? You're trying to take your code to have a bundle, JS bundle, that will import some things from the library, for example, React, Vue, Angular, and then when you're going to your page, for example, index.html, firstly, it just takes simple HTML page. Then it shows you skeletons, for example, like some things that have been downloaded by your preset of React, for example. And you're waiting until you will be able to interact with your web page. And that's working when you're taking the bundle. It's not always very light, especially in the big applications. So that is a problem right now, that it's not so fast, not so always reliable. And that creates that points of your web page, like when it's completely dead, it's just downloading and you cannot do anything, and it's sometimes kind of weird. And but this is hydration. This is how our frameworks are working, and we can fight it. And we'll talk about that, how our old frameworks are doing that. But let's discover how we can change all of that. How maybe we can discover something new, something that haven't been created before at that time. And right now we have these instruments with these tools to make that better. So let's first think who's the problem, who has this problem. And instantly I'll tell you that it won't be a problem for most of the users. Why? Because we're using quite good devices. So they have great chips, great memories, and also internet connection is also every day is better. So that's why there is not so big critical problem with that. But that's a problem, especially for some stuff, for some projects, because most of us knows only these three frameworks, but we have more. And based on that, firstly, what you should understand, our frameworks will still be popular, and they will only become more and more popular and better and faster. That's That's the thing that we won't ruin, honestly speaking, because our devices are quite good. But it doesn't mean that they're good, like they will be working good with any of your projects on any of the web frameworks. Not. So first, we can have bad devices or bad internet connection or etc., like some bad performances, but not. The thing is that sometimes your code can be complicated, and the problem is right now that we should take framework, library, any tool that is really suitable for a specific thing. Because before that, we can have only one, for example, framework, for example, React in 2014, and, well, not React, for example, Angular. And it was quite, like React and Angular. Okay, like in any case, you understand my idea. So, you didn't have a lot of other tools, but right now, we have them. So, an idea of modern coding will be to use tool that you need for this problem. This is main idea. And we have this problem with timed interaction, with huge bundling, and the problem here that sometimes we have apps that firstly should be instantly interactive. Secondly, they should be as powerful as they can be. Thirdly, they should be more reliable than optimized to do different things. So, like, these three things at least. And what do we have? So we have this iteration problem that makes, like, that causes problem to time to interaction, basically. And we have three frameworks. At least, like, there are more of them, but this is, like, new, popular. It's Svelte, Qwik, and SolidJS. Let's discover how do they work and what do they solve, basically. So, Svelte. Svelte is very interesting. So, all of them have different philosophy than our three giant frameworks. So Svelte, it's not like a framework, it's more like compilator. How does it work? Basically, it has reactivity inside of their code. So basically, what does it mean? That when you write a Svelte code, you shouldn't use any things that tell this will be reactive with these elements, so like connect such things. Not. It will make reactivity when it will be compiling. So basically, you're just compiling your Svelte to vanilla JS. That's all. You know that HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the three things that your website knows. And all the other things, frameworks, TypeScript, is all going to JavaScript. It's like any of the programming languages are going to machine code. It's all the same. So basically here, what is good is firstly, performance. We're really just compiling to its native vanilla code, and we don't have any latencies of taking this bundle, for example, and taking a lot of dependencies, for example, importing React library to work with a couple of methods. Not, we shouldn't do that. We're just compiling to one file that we'll be really using and without this connection to any other places and stuff. So this can really make better for you with working with critical speed. And also, if you don't like VDOM, like how does this magic is working, how this reloads, it also doesn't work in this way. So it just directly changed your DOM as you will be able to do that with your vanilla JS. So it's based this thing is based really on your specific problem. If you have a project where you have a problem with this reactivity, this will help you. I can't even imagine such problem, but I sure there are. So that's the thing. Also, the problem with Svelte is there are not a lot of the things, like not a huge ecosystem like a React have, but if you're creating the project from the scratch, that's the thing. Because Svelte has their instruments like Svelte Kit, and that's all good combining. So you just should understand that speed and reactivity from the box, so the speed is crucial here. Not even performance, but speed, how this works. I think that basically this one can be less popular for all of our projects that we can create. For example, if we'll compare it to the Qwik. For example, Qwik, I like a little bit better than Svelte, but all of them are interesting, really. Like just try to discover them, to play with them, to understand how do they basically works. That's all about the Svelte. Let's go basically to the Qwik. Why do I like that? So Qwik has the most interesting idea here. So it works with a thing that calls resumability. Resumability. Yeah. And the idea here is that it just takes specific JavaScript components, we'll tell in this way, it just loads them, specific for what you're doing right now. Let's imagine you have a big web cabinet. Your, for example, YouTube studio. There are a bunch of stuff, but you're not doing all of them at once. For example, at one time you're coming to create post, and another one is to create live video, another one to edit your video, post-production, changes something. And all the things, in any case, basically are loading at once. And that's the problem that Qwik is solving. So Qwik, like something quick, fast, it just tries to as fast to load your work. And then when you're clicking, when you're working with some specific company in some specific place, at that time it's just loads the new functions that was created on your Qwik file. So it just like, it's not creating a one bundle file, it's like just like splitting that to each component, like they have their own JS file, and it has been loading quite fast because it's just a small piece of JavaScript that can be loaded. And this thing is, honestly speaking, tricky here. It really just kills time of interaction. It just works nearly instant. And it's good when you have bad internet connection, but you have that. For example, when only some bytes can be loaded. So basically, you won't be looking to download all the functionality that you won't be using. You're only taking that thing that you're using. But the problem here that it based every time on this internet connection and on loading all the functionality. It's not sometimes good thing, so it depends. And I think that these future frameworks, currently they're only for small projects, but they're for such projects. It's good that people are continue to use them. So if you have, for example, the thing right now that is really can work, see on the speed of your app is crucial. So like you should work with as fast as can be time to interaction. You wanted to have a big application with the parts of that can be dynamically loaded. Like that's okay. That's what we wanted to have. To create such thing, you should create about the architecture of your application, of your audience, how they will work with your application. All of that are quite hard thing, honestly speaking. It just should to have time to understand your audience, how does your app should work. But right now, I think it's ideal for quick blogs, even e-commerce, or some even personal websites with some diagrams, interaction things, and your sales should be as fast as it can be. I think that's where Qwik can be the best. I want to encourage you to experiment with all the frameworks because they are quite new and quite not, they don't have so good ecosystem as React, Vue, or Angular has. But if we're talking about them, they're good and they're only become better. So let's talk about our interest in the last one, SolidJS. And you know what, before that, like we're not far away from Qwik. React is making also some interesting things. Like they're also updating based on these small frameworks that can really change the whole work with your framework. So they're creating the thing that calls React Server Component. And that's quite similar to what we're going to expect quite soon, working on more and more with our new frameworks that we also have such things in our old one. So that's quite interesting, and think about that. So our SolidJS. SolidJS works also on JSX. So basically, it's quite similar to your React, but here the idea is different with your virtual DOM. So what is virtual DOM? Basically, working and manipulating with real DOM is quite hard. So what does React has created? They have created virtual DOM. How does it work? You have a lot of the nodes. It's like components. When you're changing one component, it reloads all the child things, its own component. Then, like, it is created in virtual DOM. So every time you're working with React, so basically you're working with virtual DOM. You change this node in virtual DOM, it just regenerates it. It has two DOMs. Then it compares them and see that, okay, we have reloaded children. Did it change anything? Not? Okay, so we won't apply changes to that place. Oh, we have changes in our component. So we can change that in our real DOM. And we're changing that. So basically, it's like this idea of mentality of your React works. So it works right now, and even I don't see any problems with even slower devices. So it's quite also fast working. But an idea here that it can have problems. It can sometimes, like as you see, reload the child component, sometimes that you don't need to. And in any case, it makes much more problems than, for example, Svelte. So SolidJS. So SolidJS is using still an idea of working with DOM, but instantly with your real DOM. It's not creating virtual DOM, it's not taking this time to create its resources and etc. It just creates the thing that calls, find great reactivity. Based on that, it's create atomic links to your component parameters or any of data. And when, for example, you have in a lot of the nodes one place that was changed, it instantly understands in which component what has been changed, and it instantly changes this specific data in real DOM. So it makes the link with each of the parameters, with each of the data, so it will go fast. So when you should have a lot of the fast changing, or for example some editing things that should work like this, should fast changing and etc., and it shouldn't reload its children components, it really should work just changing what was changed. And this is crucial moment here. SolidJS will be working. It's still reactive, so based on that, but it just not reloads all of the components, and that makes a huge impact when you're working with a big application based on our framework. You see this reloading, not sometimes like, but you can see how memory, how your processor can feels that like a tough time. So when you see that you should have a lot of such changes, and they should be really atomic ones, so SolidJS will work here. And also, if your command really wants to work something with React similar case, so SolidJS will good be here. And that's basically all what you should know here. So we are changing. We're not trying to go in the way as it was before. Angular for big projects, React for medium projects, Vue for small projects. It's not so anymore. Each tool has their pros and cons, and you should discover them. You shouldn't create for you easy way of thinking, like as I told you 1 minute before. You have to understand even the little difference in each of your frameworks. So you should think about architecture, how all this should work, because AI can solve all the simple projects. It's not a problem for that. But you should think about architecture. Architecture is based on people. So think how people will use your product. And based on that, understand the performance that should be. What is good, what is not. What will be bad in your application. That's crucial to understand that. You can use React and understand, okay, my children components will be reloaded for no reason, but that's okay for my application because there could be moments when it will be more needed than not. So that's the thing that I wanted to tell you today. We are changing. Our future front-end frameworks are changing. I hope to see more and more of them. And the next thing what I wanted to see, it's greater work between them all. When we can use specific components for specific front-end frameworks. In general, we can still do that because in any case, it's all converts to JavaScript. But it's not so easy to understand that right now. But if you want, I will be able to make a video about that. In any case, I think that we'll be going to that each tool will work with each own stuff. It won't be anymore one tool for everything. But who knows? The future of front-end is the future. No one's knows that, but that's what I predict. Let's see how it will be. Thanks for watching this video. All the best for you. Bye.